Welcome to Alexa Business, bringing voice to work. My name is Marcello Federico, Senior Solutions Architect for Alexa for Business. So we have multiple interfaces to machines. You see remote controls, touch panels, some old computers, mice. All of these devices are used to interact with computers today and computers of yesterday. So we've been using input devices to interact with computers for a long time. And that journey started a long time ago. In the 1970s, we used to use character mode to input directly into computers. And I would even say previous to that, we used to use punch cards. But we'll start in the 70s with character mode. We then moved up to a GUI where we have objects represented on screen and which allowed you to point and click to those objects. And then eventually we moved to web interfaces, which allowed us to move from computer to computer and allow us to access applications from any computer. Then the interface moved to mobile, which introduced touch, which was quite revolutionary at the time. So being able to, instead of using your mouse to point and click, you could actually use your fingertips to point and touch the objects on the screen. Today, in the 2010s and above, we're seeing the voice user interface starting to take over. And we believe voice represents a huge shift, a major disruption in computing. And we can see that in the way the younger generation is starting to use voice. I have two sons, 9 and 12, and every day after school they come home and they do their homework. And they constantly ask Alexa questions about their homework. What is the capital of Canada? Or Alexa, how do you spell rhinoceros? So, and I asked them, why do you ask Alexa questions when you have a computer right in front of you and you could just, search for the answer? And they tell me it's just much more natural and easy. They don't have to, if they're writing a paper and they need to know the spelling, they don't have to content switch out from the application they're using. So we're seeing more and more people use voice to do things. Specifically, Alexa made voice the mainstream UI in the home. I personally can walk down into my living room and say, Alexa, turn on the living room. It turns on the TV, it turns on the lights, and goes to the specific channel I want it to. All sorts of people are using Alexa to do almost everything in their home, whether it be lowering the temperature, dimming the lights, even ordering pizza right from their kitchen or living room or wherever Alexa may be. And this type of mainstream voice in the home is also bleeding over into the enterprise. So people are getting used to using Alexa and voice at home, and they want to use it at work. And we're not the only people that see this shift happening. Gartner predicts that 25% of digital workers will use virtual employee assistant daily by 2021. And then by 2023, 25% of employee interactions will be with applications via voice. So that is a huge number, and we totally agree with those numbers because we're seeing that with Alexa for Business. So how can Alexa help you at work? Well, there are two ways. One is just to improve the employee experience at work. So being able to walk into a conference room and say, Alexa, start my meeting, and that meeting just firing up without having to remember any pins or having to use a remote control to turn the TV on or control the video equipment. We see it in lobbies where people can check in with Alexa and ask to notify a person that they're in the lobby. In warehouses where employees can walk up to a device and ask for the location of a part that they're looking for. And Alexa can tell them the exact row and bin that part is located in. And then in increased personal productivity, having a specific work assistant right at your fingertips. So think of a salesperson driving home. They have Echo Auto, and they can update their Salesforce opportunity on the road. So they can change the close date, they can add notes, all through voice, without having to log into Salesforce specifically. Or you could think of an employee at home who's not feeling well, and asking Alexa, or telling Alexa that they need a sick day, and Alexa automatically emailing their manager and logging a sick day on their HR calendar site. So these are just some of the ways we can use Alexa at work. Now, this is where Alexa for Business comes into play, is that in order to use Alexa at work, we need a strong management platform for us to manage devices, users, and skills. And so Alexa for Business is that platform, and allows you to provision devices, Echo devices at scale, which means traditionally, if you had an Echo device, you would provision it to your personal Amazon.com account. With Alexa for Business, we can now provision those Echo devices to a business AWS account, and now the admin has control over what skills are deployed to those Echo devices. They can manage them, see what devices are online, offline, and most importantly, we can control the public and private skills that are enabled on those devices. There are two different models with Alexa for Business. There's a shared device model, and this is where the company owns the devices and deploys them in an organization. Or there's the employee-owned device model, or we call the enrolled user model, in which companies can invite users to their Alexa for Business organization, and this allows those users to use their own Echo devices, but access the private skills that have been they're allowed to use. It's almost like the way I own my own mobile phone, but Amazon allows me to access email from my mobile phone. The same is true for the enrolled user model. The user owns their device, they control their device, but the company allows them to use a private skill. So the first use case, we see people that have deployed Alexa for Business into the organization. The first use case is the meeting room experience. With this use case, you don't have to do any sort of programming. It's just configuration on the console, and you get the benefits of an automated meeting room experience. So the first is room booking. I can walk by a room, and if it's empty, I can stick my head in the room and ask Alexa if the room is booked. If it isn't booked, I can then tell Alexa I need to book this room for an hour. If it is booked, I can ask who booked the room and see who didn't show up, and maybe send them a message to see if they're actually going to show up. If I'm in the room and I notice my meeting is probably going to go long, I can ask Alexa if I can extend the meeting reservation, so someone doesn't book it before I get a chance to log in and use Outlook to book the room. I can also start a meeting, and this is our number one use case, is walking into a conference room and just starting a meeting and not having to worry about any pins or dial-ins or anything. The meeting just fires up and the video conferencing equipment starts. I can tell you we use this at Amazon, and it's a lifesaver. We typically, our conference rooms are booked back to back, and as the people are walking out of the room, I can say, Alexa, start the meeting. And by the time I sit down, my meeting started, and I don't have to waste that 5 minutes of trying to figure out how to dial in. And of course, we can also have built-in phone book support, where I can say, Alexa, call support, or Alexa, call the lobby, and Alexa can automatically dial out to those numbers. Now, users love the meeting room experience use case, but they want to also extend it and build some private skills around that. And here are some of the examples of what they are building. The first is building a flash briefing for the company. So any new events that are happening that week or month, they build custom content. So employees can walk into a room and say, Alexa, play my company flash briefing. They also have built some really simple FAQ type skills where employees can ask, for example, what's the guest Wi-Fi, if they have people, guests that are in the room and they need to know what the guest Wi-Fi password is. Things like asking for hours for IT support, including asking if there's something wrong with the room, telling Alexa to open up a support case. We all have the best intentions of opening up a ticket when something's wrong with the conference room, but a lot of times, we get back to our desk and we either forget, or we just don't want to log into the ITSM platform to log a case and go through 3 or 4 screens. So by having Alexa do the hard work of logging the ticket, users are more likely to log a ticket in a conference room. So there are multiple ways to build private skills. The first is really doing the traditional route of going to the developer console, going to the Ask console, and building a voice model, and then going to Lambda and building a backend, which require code. Or there's Alexa for Business Blueprints, which was just released not too long ago. And with Blueprints, there's no code required. It's as easy as filling in the blanks to build a custom skill in a matter of minutes. You can let your employees create these skills, and they can publish them, and you can review them before they get published to your Alexa for Business org. The way you do that is after you built a blueprint, the creator can choose whether they want to publish it to the Alexa Skill Store, which is public, or they choose, where they want to publish it, what Alexa for Business org they want to publish it to. And so the next step is I would like to go through a complete demo of building an Alexa for Business blueprint and publishing it to an Alexa for Business org all the way to an Echo device. Okay, so first step is to log into the Alexa for Business console. So when you log in, here's the dashboard. You can see I have a room created, a shared device, an enrolled user, and 2 skills enabled at this point. The first thing you want to do is, if you have an Echo device, you want to onboard it. There are 2 different ways to onboard an Echo device. The first is to use the device setup tool. This tool requires a Windows laptop and requires some IAM credentials. The second way is to just import those devices. This is really the easiest way if you're just importing one device. So by importing devices, you actually use the app, the Alexa app on your phone. You onboard it to your personal account. And then once it's on your personal account, and I'll show you this here. You can move one of the Echo devices that are supported over to your Alexa for Business account. Now, I'm not going to actually pull one of these over because this is my personal account, but you can see once you do that, once you check and do that, then the Echo device will show up in the shared devices of your Alexa for Business org. So basically, you're transferring from your personal account to the Alexa for Business account. The next thing you want to do is actually create a room for that device, and then add the device to the room. So I've already have a room created here with an Echo device in it that's online. I have a skill group, and skill groups are exactly what they mean. They're a group of skills that you can apply to the room and the Echo devices in that room. So once we have that set up, and we have a couple of skills, we've got a couple of public skills, we want to create a private skill. So right from the console, you can see Amazon Alexa skill blueprints. I'll click that. I'll log in using my Amazon.com account. And you can see there are a bunch of different blueprint skills. The two business skills that we created specifically for Alexa for Business are down below. There's business Q&A and onboarding guide, but you could use the blog or flash briefing or any one of these skills. You can just tailor it to, for a business need. So we're going to create a custom business Q&A. And you can see when you click on that, there's an example skill here. We're going to make our own. And here's where we customize the interactions or the Q&A. There are two questions that are available now. This first question says, who handles social media campaigns? It's good to have variations of that question. And you can see who's in charge of social media, who handles social media, get me the social media contact, and then you have an answer. So that's not really relevant to us, so we're just going to X that one out. The next one are what are the hours for IT? When is IT open? You can go ahead and I'll just keep this the same in the interest of time, but you could change the verbiage here to match your hours of operation. But I will add a new Q&A, and for this one, a frequently asked question is, what is the guest Wi-Fi? The guest Wi-Fi password. So that's what people might ask. I'll add a variation. What is the guest password? There's another one. What is the network password? So just add different variations of what you think people might say. And then Alexa will say, the guest Wi-Fi password is, and I'll say testing 1, 2, 3. And the reason I put spaces in is so that it won't read it as a number. It'll read each individual character. And then I might say something like, the spelling for that is, and then I'll space it out, and I'll say capital TESTING 1, 2, 3. All right, and so we can go ahead and add even more questions and answers to this business Q&A that you think is relevant for this particular skill. But for now, I'll just stop there with 2. And then I'll go to the next step. You can customize a welcome message. And instead of maybe saying what are the hours of IT, I can say, what is the guest Wi-Fi password? And then goodbye for now sounds okay for a custom exit message. If this were going to be a skill that you might allow an enrolled user to use, there's backgrounds for the Echo Show. We'll leave it at blue for now. And then most importantly, we have to name the skill. So this is going to be the invocation name for the skill. So this is how you invoke the skill. So in this case, Office Helper, it sounds pretty good, but it could be Office Manager or the Office, whatever you would like to call your skill. And now I'll create the skill. So this takes a few minutes to create, and so we'll just wait for it to finish creating. Okay, so now that the skill is created, we have the option to publish our skill. If you want, you could still make edits, or you could delete the skill. So if I decided I wanted to edit the skill and add a new question and answer pair, or delete one, I could always hit edit and go back to the start and edit those portions of the skill. But what we want to do now is publish the skill. So we'll go ahead and publish it. And we have two options. The first is to publish to the Alexa skill store. And this is if you want to make this skill public for anyone to use, you would choose that option. And then the second one is you want to make this private. And you want to only make this skill available to an Alexa for Business org. So we'll say, let's publish this to Alexa for Business. We'll get started. These are just the details. You can change the skill name here again if you want. We'll just leave everything the same here. So policy, you can have keywords so that if someone's searching for a particular skill, you could add a keyword here. That's optional. We'll create an icon. We need a skill icon. So there are a bunch of out-of-the-box icons. I'll choose the Wi-Fi signal. We can change the color if we want. Maybe make it gray, and then we'll change the background to a different color just so that you can see. We'll hit save there. So now we've got an icon. We can create a short description, detailed description. So this is shown to the IT admin so they know exactly what the skill is. So you can provide a more detailed explanation about what the skill is and what it will do. Next, we go to policy. So this is just standard practice for any skill. So the first is this skill going to be used by kids under the age of 13? No, in our case. And does this skill contain any advertising? No. You can put a terms of use URL in if you need to. And then we go to review. And just, this is the final step before we actually publish this to Alexa for Business. So I'll hit publish. Now this will submit the skill into the pipeline. It goes into review. It takes usually less than 20 minutes. And so you can leave this screen. You can leave this website and always come back to see when it's actually been fully published into live state. In the interest of time, I've already created a similar skill, and I called it Office Manager. And if we look at the details of this skill, so this is what it would look like when it's published live. Excuse me. This is what it would look like when it's published live. And at this point, you can see visibility is Alexa for Business. And so I have the option to unpublish it if I don't want to, if I want to remove it completely. And I have the option to manage access. So we'll go ahead and manage access, and you can see it's asking for an organization arm. And the way to get that is to go to the private skills section of your Alexa for Business console. So let's go back to our Alexa for Business console. And under the skills section, you can see three tabs. The first is the enabled skills tab. So these are all the skills that are enabled for your organization to date. There's the skill store. So this is where we can search for any public skill in the Alexa skill store and add them to our list of enabled skills. And then there's the private skills section. And so these are all your private skills that are enabled on your org. Right now we have none. But that we're going to change that here shortly. So there's a button here called Show IAM Arm. So this is your organization arm. You can go ahead and copy that and then go back to the Alexa Built Blueprint site. And we're going to paste that in here, that arm, and hit Add. And so at that point, we just published this skill to the Alexa for Business org. I can come back here. And if I refresh, you can see that skill is now available for me to use. Now, me as the IT admin, I can see that, oh, someone published the Alexa for a skill to my org. I'm going to review it and see if I should enable it or reject it. And so I can see the developer is Amazon. I see the description. I see some examples, and I think, yeah, I think this is a cool skill, so I'm going to enable that skill. So now this skill is enabled. So it's in the enabled skills section. I can disable it at any time, or I could even remove the skill. One thing to note, if for enrolled users, if you want this skill available to enrolled users in your org, you have to check this box right here. And now that skill is available for the enrolled users. To get this skill into a room, we need to add this to a skill group for the particular room. So let's go to the demo room again, and let's just add the skill to the room, which will then ask us to put it into a skill group. And so we'll put it into the public skill group for now. Okay. So now that skill is available in the room, and now anyone can ask Alexa to open up the Office Manager and ask for the guest Wi-Fi or what are the hours of IT. Alexa, open Office Manager.
Welcome back. What would you like to know?
What's the guest Wi-Fi password?
The guest wireless password is testing123, spelled capital TESTING 123. Do you have another question?
No.
Goodbye for now.
So at this point, we've created a private skill using Alexa for Business blueprints. And you can see your skills here. We've deployed that skill to Alexa for Business. And we have the skill online in one room for users to use. So thank you so much for attending the Alexa for Business webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.